Hello everyone. Today we're going to explore about an important educational philosophy called humanism. So, have you ever wondered why some learning experiences feel more meaningful and personal than others? That's where humanism comes in. So, it focuses not just on what the student learn, but also who they are. So in this video, we'll discuss what humanism is, its key ideas, major proponents, classroom application, and its strength and limitations. Let's first define what humanism is. So humanism is an educational philosophy that emphasizes the development of the student as a whole person. This means that education should not only focus on intellectual growth, but also on student emotional, social, and personal development. So the main goal of humanism is to help the learners to reach their full potential, also known as self-actualization. So humanistic education believes that a student learns best when their needs, interests, feelings, and personal goals are met. So we should also consider as well the learning process. So instead of just memorizing facts, students engage in meaningful and relevant learning experiences that connects their life. So the key ideas of humanism, so let's take a look at it. So first is education focuses on self-development. Students are encouraged to grow personally and emotionally. Second, learning should be meaningful. Lessons should relate to real life experiences. And third, teachers act as facilitator, not just any authority figures in front. So, fourth, emotional well-being affects the learning. So, students learn better when they have um, safe environment and feel like they are supported. And lastly, humanism promotes creativity, critical thinking, and personal responsibility. So let's now go towards the assumptions of humanism. So we have four assumptions here. First is humans have free will. Second, emotion impact learning. Third, intrinsic motivation is best. And lastly, humans are innately good. So first, let's go towards to the humans have free will. So students should have the freedom to make choices in their learning. This builds the independence and motivations. Not be confused with humanism and of course the existentialism. So unlike humanism, existentialism is radical freedom. So but it does like responsibility, but in humanism it is freedom but with a rigid ethical responsibility. Next is emotions impact learning. So if students feel anxious or uncomfortable, learning becomes difficult. A positive environment is essential for every classroom for them to learn better, right? And third, intrinsic motivation is best. So this means students learn better when they are driven by interest and their curiosity, not just by rewards and grades. And fourth, it is quite controversial because humans are fundamentally good. So others believe that if your parents are bad, you're gonna be bad. But in humanism, it's the other way around. So humanism believe that people are inherently good, and negative behavior often comes from unmet needs. So instead of punishment, teachers ask, "What does this student need?" Because class sometimes students or humans behave or act because maybe sometimes a need was not met. Okay, so next, the major proponents of humanism. So we only have two figures here. So first is Abraham Maslow. So we're all familiar with Abraham Maslow when we're on our bachelor's college. No? So first, Maslow introduced the hierarchy of needs, often shown as in pyramids. So he explained that people must satisfy basic needs like food, safety, and belonging before they can reach the higher levels like self-esteem and of course the self-actualization. In education, this means that students cannot focus on learning if their basic needs are not met. Right? So as we can see here, so Maslow developed the hierarchy of needs after observing the lives of highly successful individuals. It includes Mahatma Gandhi, Albert Einstein, Abraham Lincoln, and Eleanor Roosevelt. So Yeah. So one example on the Philippines is, of course, Jose Rizal. So he also believes that only 1% of the people reach this level, the level of self-actualization. This is the pyramid or the hierarchy of needs. So for its strength, of course, so it's easy to understand and focuses on, of course, the human needs and lastly the emotion. However, the cons or the limitation, it's linear. It's not actually the hierarchy needs is not always accurate for everyone. So Maslow did not take into account the fact that other people became successful regardless if they've met the lower part of the hierarchy. For example, a poor a poor child with no parents can still be successful at the same time, right? So there you go. Next is based on limited observation, since Maslow only observed those successful people. Next is the Carl Rogers, which we will focus specifically on the personality development. For Carl Rogers, so he focused on personal growth and self-concept. So he believed that people need two things, right? First is the positive regard, which is feeling valued for the other. So actually, we have two types of positive regard, right? We have conditional positive regards, like if it's like if you are being regarded by person because they want something from you, right? That is conditional. However, the unconditional one is, of course, unconditional. Just like our parents, we are being loved, we are being regarded regardless of who we are. So regardless if there is like kapalet or something. Next is self-worth, so believing in themselves. So Rogers also described the fully functional person, someone who is open to experience existential living, trust feelings, creativity, and of course, fulfilled life. So, in education, Rogers promotes student-centered learning, where students take an active role in their education. So, he advocates the shift away from traditional teachers, that the teacher-centered classroom in which the teacher is the like an authoritarian figure in front. So instead of being authoritarian figure, so why not we became authoritative, in which we are a bit not controlling, but we are facilitating the classroom in a like open or in a good way, okay? And of course, for its pros and cons, right? So first, it's positive, empowering the view of human nature and focus on subjective experience. For the cons, it lacks scientific rigor or, of course, support and limited on focus external factors. And of course, for the role of the teachers in humanism, first, of course, we are facilitator of learning, not just the source of learning, but of course, we help them to learn. Okay, next is to be a guide and a mentor, supporter of emotional development, encourage creativity and independence. So we need to create a safe and supportive environment where students feel respected and valued. Just like before, right? If you have like this masungit na teacher, we felt like scared, 'di ba? Ang hirap magtaas ng kamay. So as a teacher and humanism, we need to promote this safe and supportive classroom environment for for the students. The students are active participants, so they share ideas, reflect on experiences, take responsibilities for learning, and develop critical thinking creativity. For the classroom practices or the examples, we have the group discussions, collaborative learning, project-based learning, self-reflection activities, and experiential learning, real-life problem solving. So, there you go. For the pros of humanistic approach, first, of course, it builds self-confidence and self-esteem. It encourages creativity and critical thinking, develops emotional intelligence, and, it strengthens teacher-student relationship. Once again, humanism views students as capable individuals with potential growth, as in everyone, okay? So, regardless if these students, of course, was born in a very poor community or very, like, not in a good shape community, but humanism look at the student as if they can grow better on that on that community. Next is the cons or the limitations or the disadvantage. So it's less structured actually than other some um curriculum, and difficult to measure outcomes, may not align with standardized tests, and time consuming because we are looking at the student on each, so one by one sa titingnan natin, and challenging in large classrooms. So for the classroom scenarios in which we can apply humanism, first, for example, this one, in literature classes, instead of lecturing about a story, the teacher asks students to share their interpretations and personal connections, in which the humanistic element is students can express their opinions, and learning becomes more meaningful and personal. Next example or learning scenario, project-based learning, right? So students explore real-life issues, encourages creativity and collaboration, and promotes responsibility and empathy to others. And third, reflective learning, such as, for example, what we are doing before, the journaling, right? So after the lesson, students write reflection about what they've learned, how they felt during the activity, how lessons connect to their life. So the humanistic element focus on self-awareness and personal growth. So for its relevance for today, so humanism prepares students for real life challenges, develop emotional and social skills, encourage lifelong learning, and promotes critical independent thinking skill. Now, as we all know, all of these four are really essential in 21st century education. So to sum it up, humanism is a powerful education approach that focuses on the whole learner, not just the academic performance. So it prepares students for real life by developing not only knowledge but also emotional and social skill. In today's world, where creativity and independence and of course critical thinking are essential, humanism remains highly relevant in education. And of course, thank you for watching. I hope you gained a deeper understanding of humanism and education. Bye for now. Paano siya